How Basketball Saved My Life is sponsored by the Hall at the Rail House, Norman's premier event space in the heart of downtown. Weddings, receptions, corporate events, luncheons, banquets, proms, parties, and more. If you're looking for a place to celebrate life, we hope you'll choose the Hall at the Rail House, located in downtown Norman. The Hall at the Rail House is a 100-year-old event space with wood floors, exposed bricks, and beautiful wood barrel ceilings. With plentiful parking and many packages to choose from, the Hall is the perfect spot for your next event. For more information, please visit therailhousenorman.com or call 405-778-0003.
This episode is brought to you by Chris Express Drug, located in South OKC. For all your sports medicine needs, call 405-735-3950.
This episode is also brought to you by Emmy Labs. They have partnered with the State Department of Health to bring you free COVID-19 tests. Go to www.emmylabs.com to find a location near you. That's a major move.
Major.
All right, welcome to another episode of How Basketball Saved My Life. I'm your host, the Easy Buddy. And we have a very special guest in here for y'all today.
Major.
Former D1 player, pro player, husband, dad, and the other half responsible for All-Star, Trae Young. How's it going, my man?
Doing good. How y'all doing, man?
Man, pretty good, man. We excited to have you on the show, and we just gonna get right into it. People don't know. You were a dog yourself. At least I don't know. So let me say it like that, okay? Because I grew up in Florida and moved here about 5 years ago, you know. So I don't know, and I know a lot of people don't know. So let's get into it for them. Where are you from, first of all?
Yeah, so I'm from a small town in West Texas, about 3 hours from here. I'm a Texas boy. Anybody?
Texas raised?
Yeah, anybody from the state of Texas, they'll let you know it's the greatest state in the world.
Yes, sir.
So, I went to school at Texas Tech, played in the Big 12. I was actually part of the first group whenever the Big 12 started. You know, they had all.
Wasn't it like the Big 8 before?
Well, so they had the Big 8, which was OU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and then they had the Southwest Conference, which was Texas, SMU, Rice, Texas Tech. So they merged and the Big 12 formed, man. And I think back in those days the Big 12 was a lot better than it is today.
Really?
Yeah. We had some dogs back then, man.
So is it just recruiting different, or what
No,
do you think it is?
Part of it is just me being biased. I'm an old man now, so I'm biased in those days. But I just, I'm friends with a lot of those guys that I played with and played against. I played against Paul Pierce, who was at Kansas.
Right.
Chauncey Billups.
That was the same era?
Oh, yeah, come on.
Oh, my God. You got to give me some stories. Go ahead.
No, Chauncey Billups. I talked to Chauncey a lot. He was at Colorado, and I was actually, my biggest memory of Chauncey was they broke our winning streak. We had like a 26 home game winning streak, and Colorado and Chauncey came in the building and just put it on us.
They put it on y'all.
Yeah.
That's kind of ironic, because Chauncy ended y'all's little run, y'all streak.
Yep.
And then Chauncey also beat Trae in the little horse competition.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, he gave it to him. He was talking to Trae about that. So Trae's known Chauncey since he was a kid.
Right.
And Tyron went to Nebraska, so T. Lou's a good friend of mine.
Right.
I'm hoping he gets an NBA job here pretty soon.
Yeah, me too.
We were just in Vegas not too long ago, just talking about the old Big 12 days.
Right.
So I can go on and on, man, and just name pros from back then.
We like to hear the stories.
Man, that's it's crazy to me, because Chauncy, T. Lou, yourself, all three really good point guards, and I know y'all know some more point guards.
Yeah.
How has it been just to be around all those great point guards, and
Yeah, it's been, well, first of all, it's just been a blessing, man. Like, for me, like, I get passionate talking about it because, like, growing up in a small town in Texas, like, I was a man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my little Texas area in West Texas, like Amarillo, Lubbock, like, I won the state championship.
Right.
I was, the scoring leader, and I was doing big things. But when I got to Texas Tech and I played in the Big 12, I realized, man, it's a lot bigger.
You was a small fish.
Yeah, I was a small fish. So I think lessons like that, man, among others, were just ones that were able to help my son, because I was always preaching to my son, like, you can't just be the best kid in Norman or Oklahoma City or even, you know, this region. Like it's a lot of dogs out there.
Facts.
So you gotta prove yourself here and then kind of spread your wings. So,
Facts.
you know, it's been a blessing to be around all those guys. And like I say, to be able to still sit down and have drinks and talk to NBA Hall of Famers that I played with and played against is, you know, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, man. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let's stay on topic real quick. When did you realize you were good? Obviously, you were leading the state in Texas. You were winning state championships in Texas. Like, when did you realize you were good? Was it early? Was it late?
I think for me, it was later. It was like probably my 10th or 11th grade year, you know, and I started to.
That is later.
Yeah, to stand out because I mean, I thought I was good. Like I say, like 5th, 6th, and 7th grade.
For sure.
You know, I was doing some things, but you know, I gotta mention my boy Desmond Mason, man. Like,
yes, sir.
Desmond from Waxahachie, Texas. You know, I've known Desmond since we were kids. And,
Wow.
And my first time playing against him was in Fort Worth, Texas. We're the same age. He was in the 10th grade. I was in 10th grade, and you know, I played well against him, but Desmond was the man. Like
was that your rival?
I wouldn't call him my rival because he was in a bigger area than I was from. Like he was around that Dallas, Fort Worth area, and I was, you know, further up north in Texas. But I mean, to me, he was my rival, but he was probably looking at me like, nah. You know,
I ain't competing with you.
Yeah, but you know, we ended up seeing each other a couple times in, you know, the state tournament, and you know, we won state, so at least I got the bragging rights there.
Oh, you beat him in the tournament.
Yeah. So,
fire.
And then they got to, you know, well, I said Desmond, you know, he had a really good career at Oklahoma State. I tried to talk him into going to Texas Tech with me.
Yeah.
But, you know, he made a great decision going to Oklahoma State. He had a great career, played, you know, over 10 years in the NBA.
Ended up getting drafted, so can't knock him for
Yeah,
that. But it'd been cool to see both of y'all play together, though.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
So when you was younger, did you have somebody pushing you, or was it more self-push?
No, I had, I come from a family of hoopers, man.
Okay.
Like my dad, my uncles, cousins. So we all, you know, we all just love to hoop. You know, we love to play baseball, just play sports, period. But basketball was our calling. So for me, I was kind of like the breadwinner in our family until Trae came along because I was the one that took it to the highest level.
Right.
You know, we had a lot of. I had a lot of uncles and cousins that played.
They all hoop.
Yeah, they all hoop. They all played in college, but you know they didn't play in the Big 12. You know,
Right.
I dropped 43 against Kansas. And, you know, I had a decent career. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It come from somewhere.
Right,
Yeah. So I was able just to pull from each family member, like the shooting, the ball handling, the passing, but for me, like I said, it was all up here because I didn't have it. I didn't have it up here because I thought I had already made it.
Yeah.
You know,
I know that feeling.
I get to the Big 12, I'm like, I'm here now. You know what I mean? But tell my story.
I thought it's so key, man. You said you pulled shooting from here, passing from here. That is dope to me. Because I didn't have somebody who I pulled from. So it was Tracy McGrady who I first started watching until I realized he's 6'8", I'm 6'4".
Right.
Probably ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So for you to have family members to really pull from, that is a major key, man. So in saying that, you said your dad was a hooper, right?
Yeah.
Y'all ever went at it on the court?
Man, my dad could shoot, man. So we never played one-on-one because it was the same way with Trae. You know, once Trae got in high school, I couldn't do nothing with him.
Yeah.
So it was the same way with my dad when I got to high school. But whenever we played horse, I couldn't beat him because I don't know what it is, man. When you get older, you just
It's the mind game.
Yeah, I mean, I done seen y'all hoop. You know, once you get older, it's just wet.
A little bit better,
Yeah.
So as right. So as far as playing my dad, you know, that was kind of the extinct of it, and just, you know, I miss him. He died, you know, passed away 10 years ago.
Rest in peace.
And that was a journey that I was glad I went on with him, and I wish he would have been alive to see Trae walk across the stage and shake the commissioner's hand. But yeah, it was a blessing to have him around in my life.
So then I gotta ask, how was Trae when he first beat his dad?
Or did he ever even get that chance?
Man, I don't know if Trae ever beat me because when he got to the age where he could beat me, I would find ways to cheat. Yeah. So
Straight up.
Yeah,
Hey.
so I never let him just beat me, and I do remember.
You're not
him,
supposed to.
Yeah. I do remember him like just getting excited whenever he would get close to beating me, and then I would just back him down and use that grown man.
Use that grown man.
Yeah. But we lived at the Y, man. Like,
Yeah, when
I
I
heard
first
the
got here,
stories.
that's kind of how I met you guys. I was
Yeah.
at the Y, that's where I worked out, and I seen Trae. He'd be on that middle court.
Yeah.
He'd be over there working.
Yeah,
so I'm like, okay.
YMCA.
Yeah.
I heard the stories, man. I heard the stories. So, I mean, how late would y'all stay up there? How early would y'all go?
Man, we would go a lot. I just remember, so the reason we lived in Norman is because my wife is from Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay.
So when I finished up at Texas Tech, I remember watching the draft, man, and I don't know if y'all know these guys. Like, there's a guy named Jamal Tinsley.
Yeah.
Of course.
Iowa State, man.
Ended up playing a long time at the Pacers.
Yeah, I dropped 37 on this dude. I mean, y'all gonna get me started.
No, we want to get you started.
No, I just remember.
Let's just keep it a buck, man.
Yeah. But that 2000 draft, man, I remember, sitting there with Trae. Trae was born in '98. He's 2 years old. I'm sitting there watching the draft, and I'm talking to my agent. He's like, I'm on the phone with these teams. Your name might get called. I wasn't a lottery pick or a first round pick, but I knew I had a chance to maybe go late second round. So I'm sitting there watching it, and my name never got called, and it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Because I had a lot of success in the Big 12.
Yeah, what was your numbers?
Yeah, I put in work. So.
Oh, I saw him.
Yeah.
The freshman year was the lowest. You averaged 7 points.
Yeah,
and
I
after
went
that
up
was
every
14, 15, 16,
Yeah.
or 17, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Trae gives me a hard time. He averages like
Yeah.
30.
30.
Yeah. But
Crazy.
It was different. The game was different. So, but anyway, make a long story short, man, I was blessed to get a call from the Houston Rockets. They brought me into camp, and I battled with this guy named Moochie Norris, and Moochie was a really good point guard. So we were battling for that backup spot behind Steve Francis.
Right.
So Steve Francis and Katino Mobley were there, and
Man.
so I was in Houston for a while. So they would cut me, bring me back, cut me, bring me back. So that first year, man, there was just no stability for me. So, and I love having these conversations with kids and just telling them, like, man, if I'm never gonna tell a kid not to follow an NBA dream, but I think I spent maybe 2 or 3 years too much following the NBA dream before I went overseas.
Right.
I finally was like, man, I gotta go make some real money.
And want to play.
Yeah, and want to play. Yeah, not
Right.
just
Sitting behind somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So I went overseas, after a couple of years, and spent some time over there. But to go back to why we live here is there was so much instability that my wife would be here with her family in Shawnee, Oklahoma City, while I'm chasing that dream. Yeah. So
Set the foundation for y'all to be in Oklahoma.
Yeah, because when my career was over, man, it was like, all right, it's time to get a job. Basketball's over. All right, let's go move back to Lubbock.
Right.
She's like, no.
Go back where?
Yeah, we're not going to Lubbock, Texas Tech. We're going to stay in Oklahoma. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do in Oklahoma? But I knew a guy named Kellen Sampson, who was a coach at OU.
Right.
So Kellen Sampson, I had some really good games against them when they had like Nate Urban, Malcolm Johnson. They had some good players back in the day. My man, point guard, he's a coach now. Y'all love him. I mean, everybody loves the point guard.
Neil.
No, not Michael Neal. He's older than Michael Neal.
Yeah.
Hollis Price.
Hollis Price.
Yep. So I knew Coach Sampson. He's like, man, just move to Norman. I'll help you get a job. If you want to coach, I'll help you coach. Yada. So been in Norman ever since. And then Trae was a ball boy for OU and grew up as a Sooner.
Wow. So, I mean, you're answering questions before we hitting them. So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
That means we've flown with the program. So then when would you say you hung up your shoes? You kind of alluded to it, but what's the timeline on that?
And what made you hang up your shoes?
Yeah, so, man, it was a game in Verona, Italy, man. And I remember like over there is rough, man.
How old are you at this time?
So I'm probably 27, 26, 27. We had a game. I was playing in Portugal, and our team had a game against Italian team. So we were in Italy, and man, there's, over there a foul, like you got to really foul somebody for them to call it. And I just remember, I used to like really slither through people on the fast break. So I got a rebound. I was driving to the hole, laid up with the right hand the first time, and then the same thing happened maybe 2 plays later, but I went with the left hand, and this like 7-footer just, instead of blocking my shot, he hit me with the elbow in the middle of the air, came down on my ankle. I thought I sprained it real bad, so I'm laying down on the ground holding my knee, like, oh man, look, just filled into my ankle, and I looked down and my foot was dislocated.
Oh, my.
Yeah, from my ankle. So, yeah.
I wish I didn't ask that.
I get those visuals and I just can see it,
so
man.
I could just feel it all the way up my leg, so I still got the scar and, the pins in my ankle.
Wow.
But anyway, I just remember that, man. It was just so crazy because I'm in Italy. My wife and Trae, and I had a daughter at the time, they're in Portugal. Our game wasn't on TV, so they're just waiting for the game to be over for me to call them and tell them how I did. At this time, Trae's still a young kid playing ball over in Europe, going to school at an English school.
Secret.
We didn't know this.
Yeah. So
Go ahead, we're going to get into that.
So anyway, that happened, and the reason I say that ended my career, because as a point guard who's 5'11", I depended on my speed.
Yeah.
My speed and my lateral quickness,
I understand that.
and we didn't have the technology that we have today for me to like just bounce back.
It's crazy how
Yeah.
like that one injury changes
it's
the
crazy.
way you play.
Yeah.
Cause like that's what I tore my Achilles, and coming back from that, it just changed. But even when I got past that, it just changed the way I played.
Right.
There's no more of that quick jerk and yes, okay. Cause I was wondering, cause like I always heard the stories. But I was like, man, I never got to see his game. I want to see what your game. I see Trae's, but I'm saying I wanted to see what the pops was like, cause
So when y'all met me and I started playing with y'all, I was just shooting. I'm going from 3-point line to 3-point line.
That's right.
Yeah, I wasn't breaking people down like I did in high school and college, because I was just trying to stay in shape.
At that point.
Yeah, I was just trying to stay in shape, and I just remember, this kid Kellen McCoy, who's coach now.
We had him on the show.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
So
See,
I coached for him at Norman North on the freshman team.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I remember Kellen was in high school when I moved here, and Kellen's always had the same game, man. Just strong, tough, getting in the lane.
Athletic.
Yeah, athletic. But Trae was always on that side court whenever we're playing full court at the Y. And then once the game is over, like Trae's in the middle of everybody, like shooting, and I'm having to say, Trae, get out the way, get out the way. So once that happened in Italy, and then my wife sit together and decided to move to Norman, we just packed up, and that was that. And I went through a period of probably 2 years of depression and just it's a wrap.
No, let's keep it 100, because when I hung up my shoes, obviously I'm only 30, but I made some not great decisions, but I didn't know it then because I didn't have the guidance that we're going to get into that you were able to give to Trae and probably your pops and your family members were able to give to you. But I didn't have those guidance factors, so I went to JUCO when I should have went to D1. Didn't have the grades, then that came back to bite me in the butt because Creighton was supposed to offer me. And then I took classes before JUCO while not playing. And so those classes took away from my NCAA clock. So my clock started. And I didn't, you don't know this stuff when you were a kid.
So you didn't have anybody to help?
Nobody. So Creighton found out I had 1 year instead of 2. They cut ties.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so from there, I went D2 for my JUCO because my coach was like, just get that degree. Because I was still going to try to go 1 year D1. And I should have now that I look back on it because I went the D2 route and still didn't get a degree because things happened and I transferred out. But again, that's the lack of guidance. So
I talk about the guidance thing too because I'm kind of a military baby. My grandma, I was born in Okinawa,
My best
Japan.
friend's a military. Yeah.
So I have both certificates. Well, I didn't know that meant I had dual citizenship. Hey, yeah,
Man,
it
if I
kills
had that
me.
in Europe, like,
Man, so like instead of trying, NBA route is always the dream.
Yeah.
Go D1 and go.
that's
So
the golden ticket in Europe, having that.
and I wish I knew. And I didn't find this out till after I done popped my Achilles.
Yeah.
So I go 2 years JUCO. I play 1 year football, 1 year basketball, thinking I'm smart to keep my 3 years. So I'm trying to finesse without the guidance. But hey, these are the decisions I made. So then once I finally get out here to Oklahoma, tear my Achilles, then I'm talking to people like, oh, you have dual citizenship in Japan? Yeah, you should have been left. I got a buddy I went to school. He from Iceland. That boy been in Iceland since we graduated high school. And I'm like, dang, I just wish I knew that. But
see, I'm shaking my head because I'm so passionate about that, man. Like if I would have had that, and that was another reason I had to retire because when I was playing, you only have 2 Americans per team. So it's like you can always get a 5'11" point guard in the States, to come take my spot.
For sure.
So
Down a dozen.
yeah. But back then they had guys that like you can buy a passport or buy your citizenship, and then they started catching on like, we not doing that.
So that's kind of. I'm just glad you touched on that because fast forward, I ended up going a little bit in Asia, went to Puerto Rico, got cut. And then after that cut, man, and me and him, we go down to Florida. I come back to Oklahoma after I get cut, and we go down to Florida for some semi-pros for one more run at it. And then we did good, it didn't pan out. And then I ended up having to get knee surgery. And then that's when I had to shut it down. And I want to say that year and a half after shutting it down, recovering from the knee, my son at the time was like 2 years old.
How old were you when you had your son?
I was 24.
Okay.
I was 24. So he's 6 now. I'm 30. But I'm just like, yo, I think this is it for me.
Yeah.
This is it for me. So it was tough, man. And how I got over mine was coaching, training. So I started training kids and coaching kids, and that's how I got out of my depression and my sadness. And I still watch the game like, man, I used to kill him.
I know,
One dude, man, Nick Calathis, like in Orlando Pro-Am, you know Orlando Pro-Am jumps, used to go at him, Austin Rivers, he's from Orlando as well, or Winter Park. So just a lot of dudes down there, I was at their neck, Ray. I was
Trust me,
you're Jamal Tinsley.
Yeah, man. Like,
I was at their neck, bro, and so just me training and coaching took me up out of that. So what took you up out of your depression?
Man, I just think, I know, I like having my dad, man. Just having my dad and just realizing that, man, it's just time for me to grow up, time to get a job. And, I had 3 kids. I had 2 girls and a boy.
Yeah. And
they're all 2 years apart. So at this time, I think Trae was maybe 7 or 8. My other daughter was, 6, and then I had one that was 4. So when you're playing overseas, going from country to country, man, it's, I wasn't making high 6 figures, like a lot of guys were. Like when you have that NBA on your resume, it usually
translates.
Translates over there, and you make, a higher dollar amount. But, one thing I am glad I did is, I did get my degree. So
yes, sir. What you got your degree in?
So I got in general business and then organizational leadership.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
So man, y'all taking me back.
Man, let's get into the bag. Let's get into the bag.
Just realizing I had to have that degree, and I love once again just talking to kids today because I learned and I got lucky because if you play for so long. And like say you play to your 30, 32, 33, and now you're trying to compete for a job that someone just came straight out of college, to get this job. It's going to be hard because you don't have any work experience.
Right.
It's hard to go into your interview and say, they're going to ask you, so what's your experience? And you're like, I played basketball.
Right. And then you're 30.
Yeah, and then you're 30. Yeah. So, and then you're going up against a kid that just got out of college and he's been doing interns. Internships.
For free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for me, I was lucky to, know people. I knew Coach Sampson. I met some other people. Actually, I knew a guy named Richard Peoples. I don't know if y'all know
I
Richard.
heard Mr. Peoples.
Yeah, we used to hoop together. And it was so funny because this dude was driving a minivan, and he was just a regular dude, right? And he invited me over to his house one time, and I couldn't find his crib. It was in his nice neighborhood. So I went over to his house, and we had lunch, and I started asking him, like, what do you do? And he told me he was in pharmaceutical sales. And I'm like, so you in pharmaceutical sales, you got this nice crib, but you drive a minivan?
Right.
And he was like, I mean, my minivan is free. The company paying for the
Let's
gas.
get it.
You know, I mean, I ain't got no question.
I'm gonna push that, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you know, I just started leaning on him, got into pharmaceutical sales, and found me a career that was solid, that I could
Raise your family.
Yeah, raise my family, and do some things with. But at the same time, gave me freedom and leverage to still train my son and take him to camps and coach him up. So
that's why they say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So then that takes us to our next question. Let's get into Trae. When did you start actually working him out tough? When did you say, okay, you ready? Let's get it?
I mean, that didn't happen till probably when he hit double digits, like 10 to 12. But he's always been around the game, man. Like, I just think that's always helped him being around the game. No matter if he's sitting in the stands and he's 3, 4 years old watching dad play,
Right.
or he's at practice when I'm playing in Europe and he's in the way and they're telling him to get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? But he's had a ball in his hands, and he's mimicking me during practice. Or when we moved here and now I'm at the Y, we used to go to the Y every Saturday at 10 o'clock. We hooping. Tuesday and Thursdays at 6 o'clock we hooping. So my wife working, so instead of paying for a babysitter, he at the Y with me with basketball. And then once he got involved with OU and he's 11 and 12 years old, and he falls in love with like this monster, this dude named Blake Griffin.
Yes, sir.
He's sitting there looking at Blake Griffin like, okay. It wasn't even about the NBA. It was more like, oh man,
like you're great.
Yeah. And then just to top that off, whenever that's not going on, I was blessed to have this good career at the time, so I got season tickets to go watch the Hornets, not the Thunder,
Right.
but the Hornets, because Hurricane Katrina happened.
Right.
So now I'm at the game.
Because they were in OKC.
Yeah.
Okay. When Katrina
moved
happened.
here, yeah.
Right.
And so now, it's just, I knock on wood, but he's always been blessed to be around the game. So we're at the game, and I see, the Hornets playing the Detroit Pistons, and the starting point guard is Chauncey Billups from the Pistons. So now I get, Chauncy see me like, oh, what's up, Ray? Like, meet me after the game. He talked to his man, he give his passes. So now Trae's meeting Chauncey Billups.
Early
age. And now Chauncey's like, hey, let me walk you down the hall real quick. And then Chauncey introduces Trae to Chris Paul. And now,
You just love
another great point guard was introduced.
And then now the Hornets playing the Lakers, and even though Iverson stepped over him and embarrassed him, it's still all good because T. Lou's my man from college. So now Trae's, taking pictures and meeting T. Lou, and it's just, you asked me when did I start working him out hard. I would say when he turned 11 or 12, but it was really
already in him.
It was already in him.
You just let him fall in love with it first.
Yeah, because he wanted to be like these dudes that he was seeing up in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, up close and personal.
Yeah. So
That's a great, man, I'm glad you said that because my son just took a picture with Trae a couple weeks ago.
Man.
And so, you know what I mean? Obviously, Trae's a kid.
And I try to tell Trae that. Like, Trae didn't realize that these kids are looking at you the same way you looked at Chris Paul and Chauncey Billups.
That's right.
And he's like, Dad, I'm just hooping. I'm in the league. I'm like, yeah, but you can't.
Say that, but you gotta see how they look.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Obviously, he's still a kid, so he's still enjoying himself and doing what he's supposed to do as a player and things like that. But for him to stop and take that picture with my son, shout out Braden, for him to take a minute, to take the picture with my son. Now my son was like telling everybody, I'm talking about for the next week, I took a picture with Trae Young. I took a picture with Trae Young. So now he's like, can you YouTube me videos of Trae Young? So bro, for the next week, bro, he was on YouTube, Atlanta Hawks. looking up Trae Young. So it was just so cool to see him that interested.
But that's where it starts. And you, like, you know, being a young father, you may not realize it now, but you know, that's where it starts. Because he's gonna look at you like you're gonna be his first hero. You know what I mean? Just like my dad was my first hero. But my second hero was Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, you know, all these dudes in the NBA that I looked up to. And that's how it was with Trae. Like, you know, he comes home from school or I get home from work, there's a Thunder game, he trying to go watch, you know, Russell Westbrook now,
right?
Kevin Durant now. So it's like, you know, if it's in him, it's in him. But, you know, for Trae, it was already in him, but I just kind of enhanced it.
Right. By
him meeting all these guys.
Right.
So did he more, when you said you started working out hard, was it more like a mutual thing? Like he came to you like, Pops, I want to do this?
Yeah.
Or y'all just was like...
Yeah, so, you know, once again, y'all taking me back, man.
Y'all just going to archives.
And it's just, you know, his story, like Trae's story is so unique, and I know, you know, I always hesitate telling it because I know everybody's not going to have those same opportunities.
Right.
And, you know, there's a guy, Jason Stout, man. Jason Stout, one of my good friends. He was our trainer at Texas Tech. And now, whenever we hooked up again, he was actually working for Orlando. He was a video coordinator for Orlando.
For the Magic, that's tough.
Yeah, so what he did, man, this was crazy. I still got him at home, man. He broke down all the videos for the top point guards. Now, at this time, it was Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Tony Parker. I mean, I can go on and on.
Yes, sir.
And so he sent, you know, that's when we had the DVDs. You just throw them in the laptop. You know what I'm saying?
You want to go with it.
Yeah, and now you can watch. They can watch their highlights because his job was to break down scouting reports on the other team.
So he breaking down specific things.
So he just focused on Steve Nash's moves and in certain games, broke them down, sent me the DVD. Tony Parker. Now Trae just sitting at home. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah,
bro. Oh my mind.
So I got all these DVDs at home, man. And I need to show you all these DVDs.
Hey.
And your son can look at them.
Please.
It's on 1.5 and he throw the ball around.
Yeah.
Please.
So Jason Stout, man, like him and Trae like finally met each other, and like Trae didn't know who he was, but he was like, yeah, I'm the one that's been sending your dad all these video edits of the top point guards since you were a kid. So, but to answer your question, that's what we did. Like, we would just go to the Y, man, and I would just push him to work on his floaters, you know, work on your left hand, like do a CP doing with his hezo, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just
it's heavy.
Yeah.
Dirty too.
Yeah. So just that's just what we did.
So then, obviously, I mean, y'all watching film at a young age, and I commend that. Because that's an aspect of the game that I didn't get into until late, and I wish I got into it early. So with that said, for y'all to be getting the film early, you have to realize he was special as a basketball player pretty early. So when do you think you realize, like, man, this kid, he's a sponge, man, he's special?
Yeah,
Without being biased, of course.
No, seriously, like, you know, because with all the good, there was some bad, and I would say the bad part was, man, he was just that dude in Norman. Like, it reminded me of myself. This all goes back to me growing up in Pampa, Texas.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about, because people around here they hadn't seen anything like that, you know, since, you know, I can't remember when last time, you know, maybe since Ron Rolls was doing what he was doing in football.
Right.
But Trae was going to Whittier doing this in basketball. So I was
Right.
like, oh man, this kid nice. You definitely went to NBA, yada, yada, yada. But he was dropping 40 and 50 on Whittier kids.
I heard there were some rumors the high school players
No,
trying
listen.
to get him to play when
His middle school coach, shout out Coach Barnard. He says he still has the book from middle school, and I meant to bring it for you today. So I'm gonna get it to you, so we can look at it. He said, if you see this book from when I coached Trae, he said I was a great coach because I just sat back and let him be great. You know what I'm saying? But he said, if you look at this book, it's unbelievable. So
Coach Barnard, man, and it was the same way with him. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that I wasn't an overbearing dad at times, but you know, I would tell him, man, like, you can't be like having my son in the corner spot, like he got to do what he do. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? If you don't let him do what he do, I'm gonna take him over the long term. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do something different.
You had the vision. Though.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was special until later, because even though I talked about the Whittier stuff, it wasn't it.
It's small town.
Yeah, but one thing changed his life, man, and it's so crazy. I talk about this all the time with my boys at the barbershop, but I don't know if y'all know.
Shout out Payless.
Yeah, Payless Images, man. Yeah, we're going to Payless Images since Trae was a kid, and I'll never forget the conversation we had, and I just told him, I said, you're around here killing these middle class kids and doing your thing, and he was going to Oklahoma City, and you know, playing okay, but
What grade was this, you say?
this was 7th grade.
Okay.
7th
And that's
grade.
kind of when I got here 2011.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like when my cousin like Bryce and Team
Yeah.
Flat kind of got together.
Yeah,
That's when I started hearing a lot about Trae, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of like the little clash of the kids at the time. But
So this is what happened. It was the end of 6th grade, going into 7th. We were in a tournament in Oklahoma City, and he was on a team with your friends and some other kids, and Trae was doing his thing, and there was a team from Tulsa, the Tulsa Bulldogs.
I heard of them.
From North Tulsa.
North Tulsa.
Yeah, North, man, they was putting it on their head. But you know, Trae was doing his thing, like he was doing the sham guard, like
All the good stuff.
you know, dropped 40, but they lost by like probably 20. And I'll never get that coach was like, man, like, would you mind if, you know, if your son came and played with us? So I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 with you. So Trae was on a team with probably 2 other brothers. You know, this kid
Right.
named Marcus Dickinson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Him and Marcus could play too.
Boy,
he
right?
Yeah, boys
ended
play.
up playing when I went in high school.
Yeah. And
At North.
Yeah, another kid named Lindy Waters.
Yeah.
And
LSU.
Oklahoma State, and they had a decent team, and the rest was all white kids. But I'm talking about like some brothers, like from North Tulsa came down here, pressing them, you know, doing what they do. And I told that coach, yeah, you know, I'd give it a shot. Trae came home that first weekend about to cry. Like, these dudes out there talking about having sex, selling drugs.
Like they had their time on.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was good for him up here because he's seeing something other than
The shelter.
than the big houses, the mall, you know, all the free
good.
shoes.
Nice
So
cars.
he's seeing it. He's saying like this is where
Scraps.
over 50 to 60% of the kids that get to the NBA, this is where they come from. You know, there's always going to be the Steph Currys whose dad played in the league.
Right.
You know, Doc Rivers' son. There's always going to be them. But, you know, if you want to really, you know, learn about this game, like these kids are grinding. Like they was out there grinding, like trying to raise money, standing outside.
Yeah.
Fundraising.
Fundraising.
Oh, I hated being on the
So
corners
it wasn't
fundraising.
It wasn't no more dad. You know, I need $100 for this. Now you gonna go to North Tulsa with these kids?
Do that car wash.
Yeah. They gonna be talking about some stuff that you ain't heard before here in Norman, but that's gonna change your mentality.
Right.
So now
And we gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
We gonna talk about it.
Exactly.
And then we gonna learn from them.
Exactly. And that just changed. Man, I can't tell you how much. Like I get chills even thinking about it because it changed his life and his mentality. Because now when he comes back to Norman, it ain't no big deal when he doing what he doing. Like this is what he's supposed to do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It ain't like, okay, thank you, you know, Miss whoever for patting me on the back, but like this is what I do. Like I'm trying to do something bigger than just doing it.
So then, is that from the Tulsa Bulldogs? Is that when you guys decided to pursue Mokan or?
Yeah. So from Tulsa, I mean, once again, man, I'm not gonna make it like it was all peaches and cream because I was that dad. Like, if I don't see it getting better, I'm gonna make a move.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So with these kids,
I mean, let's look at it right now. Not to cut you off. Let's look at it. Look like you did pretty damn good.
That's a blessing, man. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
So 7th and 8th grade, and a little bit of 9th, he played the Tulsa Bulldogs, and that was tough, man, because that was like the Jay-Z Dame Dash moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all ever heard the story whenever Dame Dash knew their relationship and Rockefeller was over, when they were at Def Jam and they got into a hotel. I mean, they went into an elevator together, and Dame Dash came from this way, got to the elevator. Jay-Z was coming from another direction, and they went to a certain floor, and they didn't say a word to each other. And Jay-Z just walked out and went his way. Dame Dash went
That was
his.
the party.
Yeah, that was the end. That was the end of that, and that was kind of the same thing with the Tulsa Bulldogs. Man, they had a lot of success, and that coach was taking them all across the nation. You know, Chicago, New York,
Vegas, probably.
LA, Vegas. You know, LA playing in these big tournaments, but it got to the point where it was just still, it wasn't organized enough. They weren't developed. It was just a bunch of athletes.
Any of them kids make it a little bit further than just high school?
You know, someone played football. To be honest, a couple of them locked up right now.
Good.
It was just, it was different, man. You know, some of them, a couple of them are in college. But one of them got, you know, a robbery charge. But you know, now it's time for some organization. You know, instead of just dogs and athletes out there just playing basketball.
That was just a learning moment.
Yeah,
for
exactly,
the game.
exactly. So now Trae has that in his system to where now he can relate to not only the people that he grew up with on the west side of Norman,
Yes, sir.
but he can relate to where his daddy grew up.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sir.
saying? To those, you know, to that side.
Which in turn makes him a better teammate.
Exactly.
Oh man,
Exactly. That's
dope.
Yeah, so just to talk about the pro skills thing, you know, at this point he had a name for himself, so I'm getting calls everywhere, and you know, I was driving Trae to Tulsa every Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, just to practice, just to go play, because I knew that was a sacrifice I had to make, and then that turned into going to Dallas to pro skills, because Jeff Webster, who played at Oklahoma. He's a legend at Oklahoma. He heard about my son, and I've always told Trae, you know, if you're not respected in Texas, and this makes it be since I'm a Texas guy.
Yes,
I
sir.
tell him, I said, if you don't have respect in Texas, it don't mean
Because
nothing.
Texas like its own country down there. It's so damn big.
It is. And all those guys will tell you, man, like all the camps that was in Texas, I made sure Trae went to all the camps. Like John Lucas,
Yeah.
like I tell kids, if you want to know about any camps, just ask me. I'll let you know. I mean, you got to go to Dallas. I mean, you got to go to Pango's camp in Dallas. You got to go to like Jim Hicks in Houston, John Lucas in Houston, and then you make your name out there. And that's why Trae's so cool with guys like you know De'Aaron Fox, because they've been playing against each other since they was kids.
Playing in Texas camps too.
Yeah, going to camp. So Trae gained that respect because you know they look at Oklahoma as you know country like you know.
Ain't no lie to you.
Yeah.
I still thought they was in wheelchairs.
Yeah,
I still thought we was riding horses.
Right, exactly.
Keep it 100.
So that's when I asked, when did you? So is this when you started pushing him to all the camps, or was this
seventh
like
grade.
7th grade? So that's when he started his like camp tours and everything.
7th, 8th. When I hear about kids in 3rd and 4th grade doing that, man, it's
too early.
It's too early, man. Because I've seen it. I've seen the tall monster kid in the 4th and 5th grade. Then you get to 9th grade, and
He's not that big no more.
everybody catch up with him. Yeah. I mean, I remember Trae was so little and skinny, and you know, compared to the NBA, he's still small. But at that point, he was so small, like he didn't look like he belonged.
Right.
But once I saw that little speck of hair on his leg, he started getting the.
You knew it was time.
Yeah. He started growing. He started, you know, going into puberty, and then that's when everybody started catching up. And that don't happen. Some kids it happen in 6th grade, but that don't happen until 7th and 8th grade, man. And that's when you kind of know who's gonna be 6'8", who's gonna be 6'5".
Right.
It's always gonna be an Anthony Davis that grows 6 inches in high school.
Overnight.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, you know, that's when it happens. So
then, boom. When do you feel like you were able to sit back and say, okay, now he's taking the bull by the horns and he's getting his own destiny?
Well, yeah. So when you asked me earlier, when did I find out that
He was special.
that he could be special? It was still late, but after he was with Pro Skills, he played with Pro Skills for one summer, and man, he balled out. Like he just balled out, and that was the summer.
I want to ask you if this is the Pro Skills team. I got a picture.
Okay.
I'm listening.
So This was after the year that Kevin Ollie and UConn won the national championship, and it was the last.
Kimba?
No,
Was it after
was Kimba
Kimba?
on that team?
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, was
Oh,
Kimba
what,
coaching?
the UConn?
Either, yeah,
Oh.
the UConn team. I don't know if Kimba
When
was on that squad.
When UConn won it?
Yeah. But
Kimba
no,
won
it wasn't Kimba.
Was it Jeremy Lamb?
No, it was the other point guard. Oh, he's nice too. He was with the New Jersey Nets. It's Untitled. I'll think of it here in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, Kimba was before that. So they had won a national championship, and you know when you play in all these big events in the summertime, it's crazy with coaches. Like you see Coach K, you know
Huggins.
It's just everybody.
Everybody.
And Trae played well in front of Kevin Ollie, man, and UConn offered him. And whenever because he already had offers from Texas Tech.
Right.
But that's where I went to school, so they was gonna offer me anyway.
Off the jump.
Yeah.
And you ain't push him to Tech.
What team is that?
That team, okay, I'll explain that to you.
Okay. I remember I had to say because I wanted to ask you about that
crazy.
squad.
Oh yeah, we don't get into that.
That's not an AU team though. That's
Okay, so
that's an all-star team. That's an all-star team.
Okay,
That's
that
awesome.
makes sense then. Okay.
Yeah. So, oh man, who was that point guard? Y'all know who that point guard was?
We gotta know. I'm sure we
Yeah.
know.
Nets?
He played for the Nets. It's not Darren Williams. Went to Illinois.
No, this was recently, man. But anyway, I gotta tell you this story, man. 'Cause we were in Vegas, and Trae Shabazz Napier. Shabazz Napier.
That was a year after Kimba.
Yeah.
Was
Because
it
he
year?
played
Yeah.
1 year with Kimba.
He played 1
when
year
they
with
won
Kimba.
it. And I don't know if they
No.
won it the year after.
I think it was after, because I think Kevin Ollie won one, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure it was right after Kimba won one on the step back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
But I know
Napier.
Kimba didn't win one.
Yeah, Kimba won it on the step back. When he
No,
dropped it.
that was a Big East tournament. But Shabazz Napier won a national tournament.
Go ahead. Let's.
You think so?
I think
Okay.
because I remember that year I won the bracket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know it was Shabazz Napier, and because we were sitting in a hotel in Vegas, and Kevin Ollie called. I put him on the phone with Trae, and you just see his smile. I'm like,
Glowing.
like, you just got an offer from UConn, dog.
That's lit.
Like, I mean, like OU was cool, but Coach Kruger been knowing about Trae.
Forever.
I mean, Trae.
Hometown kid.
Yeah, Trae got offered
Backyard.
by Kelvin Sampson. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
he was.
backyard.
Because he's, Rayford Young's son, they knew he was going to be good. Oklahoma State had my old coach, a guy named James Dickey, who was at Oklahoma State. He coached me at Texas Tech.
2011.
Wow.
So Napier, I think,
Yeah, there's
was,
Napier right there.
it was like a year or two after that they won.
Next year, I think.
Was it very next year?
Either
Probably.
I think
They
it
didn't
was.
win back to back.
Let me see.
Okay. So, so Trae got that offer from UConn. It was a wrap then. And it was just like, oh, this kid.
So once that came, everybody else came calling.
Well, almost everybody. It ain't really super duper serious until Calipari and Coach K. But it was
Big
still,
facts.
blue
blood.
He didn't have a blue blood, but it was still serious.
Yeah.
And so after Vegas, what happened was he went to a camp, right? He went to this Nike camp, and man, this is crazy. I gotta be going back.
2014. Napier won in 2014.
Yep.
So that was his senior year.
That was his senior year, so he won it as a freshman with Kimba,
Yeah,
and then
he
as a
won
senior.
that.
All right, let's get it.
Yep. So after he got that UConn offer, he going into camps like chest out, he's straight, but he's still playing against this kid here, #1 point guard in the country. This kid Trayvon Ball, this kid,
Oh yeah.
all these other kids. So he having to prove himself, but he ends up meeting this kid named Michael Porter, and
That's when social media really started hitting.
Yeah.
I felt like that's when social media really started hitting.
yeah. So they hit it off, and Michael Porter is from Missouri, and he lived in Missouri. He plays for Mokan. Mokan's a real nice organization. Like they Nike.
Porter go ahead and got him to come through.
Yeah. They with us, and we can make it happen because Michael Porter was the #1 kid in the country. And I don't think people remember, like, there was a highlight when he came from the free throw line and dunked when he was playing in some like little small high school in Missouri, and it just went viral. Like it was on Sports Center, and like Trae was like, "Dad, what should I do? Like, I'm cool playing in Dallas, it's only 2.5 hours away." But these dudes in Mokan was like, man, we ain't tripping. When you get out of school on Fridays, you got the plane ticket, we'll fly you to Kansas City. Sunday after practice, your dad just pick you up at the airport. Like,
Oh.
that's, you know.
So y'all wasn't driving to Kansas?
Nah, not unless I wanted to go watch practice or, you know, I just really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And like the wife and my daughters went. But when it was just Trae, like that's when it became a business. Cause now he walking through Norman North as a sophomore, like, you know, I'm not going to no parties this weekend. I gotta, as soon as that bell ring, I'm headed to the airport.
Straight.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm not going to.
You dropping gems right now.
Yeah,
oh,
so that's just what it was. So it was, you know, we had that focus. So yeah, Mokan came, and then that summer with him and my Porter, that's when I knew. I'm like,
That's when you knew you could step back and he's gonna take his own destiny.
yeah.
So that was summer of sophomore year.
Yep. The summer right after his sophomore year. As soon as he finished his sophomore year, he played with Mokan, and because he played Mokan 2 years. So that first summer, I had never seen anything like that, like the Nike EYBL, you know, Elite Youth Basketball League, and it's the NBA. It's
Right. It said what it stands for.
Yeah, it's NBA. So that picture you showed me,
Yeah.
everybody in the picture in the NBA. So it's
That's what the second picture is.
Yeah, so, I mean, when he was playing in that, and then I saw how he would play with a bona fide pro, because Trae wasn't really considered a pro yet, because he's still only 6 feet, 6'1" at the time, but one thing that helped him is like, people saw what Steve Nash did, and now Steph Curry really changing the game to where, okay, you can have a little light-skinned kid shooting from 30 feet, dropping dimes, and, you know.
He keeps it on a string.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so Trae's doing that, man, and Nike's falling in love with him, and Nike's like, man, like, we want to make sure we take care of you. So we getting shoes into the house, and, you know, my wife getting outfits, I'm getting J's, and it's just, and then,
Crazy.
And then, yeah, like Drake sending him like the OVO Jordans.
Hey,
and
yo,
it's-
Drizzy.
yeah, so it's just, man, I just remember it just turned crazy. Like, and anytime there's a concert here, I remember when Lil Wayne came here. You remember when Trae was on the stage with Lil Wayne?
Especially with the Migos.
Yeah, the Migos came. Like, he was backstage with Migos, so it's just.
And that's like junior year, senior year right there.
That was right after his junior year. Yeah, because they went and won the Nike EYBL. Like, they won basically the NBA championship at a junior level.
Right.
And him and Michael Porter were co-MVPs. And so that's when Nike sent the top 12 players who they think are going to play in the NBA, and they hope to sign them to shoe deals. They sent them to the Bahamas. So that picture with Trae, Jason Tatum. Like, I think about this: Trae, Jason Tatum, Mo Bamba, Miles Bridges. I ain't got to look at it. I already know.
That's crazy.
Gary Trent Jr.
Porter, obviously.
Yeah, Porter didn't go. He turned it down.
Yeah, I was gonna say he
because
don't want on this picture.
Porter didn't go because he was. Man, I hope I don't get in trouble saying all this, but he was.
Ain't gotta
Yeah,
say
no,
it.
it's all good. I mean, because it's all in the past now. But Porter's supposed to be the next Under Armour guy. So Under Armour was like, you know, we're gonna send you here, and I mean, like Trae had that option too to go with Porter to the Under Armour event, which is in New York on the water. They had this thing called Elite 24 All-Star Game.
Okay.
So that was Under Armour. But Trae was like, man, Nike been taking care of me, they take care of the family. We're gonna go to the Bahamas. So they sent the whole family with these other kids to the Bahamas, and it was a wrap then.
Yeah.
And then by that time, Calipari was calling, of course Bill Self, Coach K. Like, these dudes was flying into Norman on the private jets, coming to the house.
Not only we got the little private airport in the backyard.
Yeah,
so
I mean, like Calipari, man, it's so crazy because in our neighborhood, the neighbors would just. It got to the point where they would be sitting outside on their porch and acting like they just, you know, having a drink.
Wait, see who next.
It was crazy, man. And like just watching Calipari walk into our room and just be like, "You got to come here." Like he would hand you a book, and he was like, "This is what I do." And you open up that book, you see Derrick Rose.
John Ball. He's
He's like
resume.
Yeah. This is who I coach. You know, this is this is how much they're making. You know what I'm saying? This is what I do. And he said, Trae, like Calipari is the only coach that'll tell you, like, this is a business. Like,
straight up.
Like, I only want you, because I want to put you in the NBA. I want you to help me win a national championship, and I'm going to help you in the NBA. Like, you're not going to be here 4 years.
Kept it 100.
Yeah, I mean, he tells everybody, if you at Kentucky 4 years, like, you doing something wrong, because you're going to get somebody behind you going to come in and take your spot.
Ooh,
yeah, so he said you got to get it done in the first year.
Like how you put it.
Or that second year. And then Coach K, we sit down with Coach K, man, and he talked about the Duke brotherhood. He's like, if you come here, you're part of the brotherhood forever. He said presidents come to Duke. You're going to be on campus with future presidents, future senators, future, you know, like it's business. You know what I'm saying? He talks about the NBA, but he talks about the brotherhood and winning championships and that brand. Like, you're going to be on ESPN every week, yada, yada, yada. And then Bill Self is just that dude. He's like, I mean, we invented, like Kansas invented basketball.
Right.
Low key, huh?
I mean, you come to KU, this is what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, it was just hard because Coach Kruger was calling every day. Like, Coach Kruger knew, I don't know if he had somebody spying on our crib, but he knew every day he was coming to our house. So he would call me the next morning, and, you know, I would have to, you know, be a businessman, be like, you know, Coach, we just still thinking about it. You know, Trae, you know, he's just trying to be a kid now. He's got a girlfriend. He's you know,
right.
You don't think about it. Because Kruger's like, just know when he comes here, there's no questions. He said anywhere else he goes, there's going to be questions. Like, he going to have the ball, or they're going to have another All-American with the ball. When he comes here,
he's the only one.
It's you. I don't care who on our roster. Like, they had Rashad Odom, they had all these. He's like, it don't matter. Like, you are a Norman kid. You're a McDonald's All-American. Like,
5-star.
Yeah, like, as soon as you make that announcement, you come into OU.
It's your offense.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So I guess that was gonna be my next question is, was it hard to choose between
I didn't want OU, man.
KU, UK?
It was hard.
It was hard.
It was hard, man.
So that was his decision.
No, man, Trae was like, I'm like, Trae, you got to go to Kentucky, dog.
Can I know why you didn't want OU?
Because look at Cal's resume, dog. Like, look at Coach Cal's resume. Look at Bill Self.
Okay.
Like,
So is it just because they weren't big enough?
They didn't have it. Man, hey, Bill, Coach Self, if you see this,
I hope you do. I can't lie.
I'm gonna have to tell them, like, all them schools told us. They said, Trae, we love you. Like, we love you and we want you. But Oklahoma, though, y'all not good enough. Like, if you go to Oklahoma, y'all don't have the players. He's like, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
He said, you go to Oklahoma, you can't do it by yourself.
Make it so far.
But at the same time, like, it was tough because they had Devontae Graham and the other kid. He got Player of the Year.
The big man?
No, the point guard.
The point guard. I mean, you know, like Kansas, right?
Yeah, at Kansas.
Graham. Yeah, Graham.
Not Graham. Graham's. You talking about the point guard that's in Charlotte right now?
Yeah, it was Graham and I can't remember his name.
him.
Nah, I can't remember his name.
Why am I not? I'm so into the story I can't
Yeah.
I'm still like tuned in right now.
Nah, so I'll just say this.
Mason.
Frank Mason.
Frank Mason.
I
That's who it is.
just have to remember.
So Bill Self came in our house and he's like, Trae, Frank Mason's a senior. He's gonna be Player of the Year. He's gone. Devontae Graham's a junior. He gonna leave early. And I'm like, Coach, Devontae Graham is good, but he's not leaving early. Like, he gonna come back. And Bill Self was like, yes, he is. Like, Trae's gonna come into Kansas and start on the top 5 team as a freshman. And I'm like,
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, because I know basketball, and I'm looking at Devontae Graham. I'm like,
He's good,
but I don't know if he's leaving like that. So that was Kansas, and then we looked at Duke, and there's a kid that they had signed named Trayvon Duval.
I remember.
That was
He underachieved for real, but he was explosive.
He was
In
so
high school,
good,
though.
man. He was so, man, that kid
Duval
was,
and Young.
Yeah, that kid was so good, like athletic. And, he was supposed to be the next Derrick Rose,
Right.
and he should have went to Kentucky, to be honest with you. But so they had him because Trae waited too late.
Mm-hmm.
Like Coach K would just keep 100. Like, we looking at you or Duval, and once one of y'all commit, we gonna be calling the other.
Can't have both.
Yeah, can't have both. So Duval committed, and then so Duke was out the picture, and And then Calipari wanted Trae so bad, dog. It was just, it was tough. Like, I was talking to Worldwide West. It was like everybody. Like, it was just.
That's my man that was with him at Memphis, huh?
Yeah.
Worldwide West, yeah.
So it was just crazy because I remember on that trip to Kentucky, Larry, who's the coach? The coach of Iverson. He's like the Godfather. He coached in Kansas.
Larry with the glasses. I
Yeah.
know. Golly, he coached at SMU.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Why am I not able to
yeah.
pull it?
He was there, but anyway, he was like, "This guy's gonna get you to where you want to be. Like, this guy's gonna, like, he was telling us Calipari he's gonna make you that."
So that's where you was trying to.
Man, come on, man, Kentucky.
Hey, I understand.
Kentucky, and then
Understand.
you know Oklahoma State was Oklahoma State, and it was cool, and Texas Tech where I played, it was cool, and I would have loved him to go there, but it just wasn't a good fit because who they had, because they already had point guards that were.
Okay.
Like Texas Tech already had a point guard, and then Oklahoma State had Juwan Evans. I don't know if y'all remember Juwan Evans. So, and basically the way we looked at it is, if he doesn't go to a blue blood, and you just go to a regular.
Larry Brown?
Larry Brown.
Yeah.
It was gonna mess with me.
Yeah,
So
I know. I'm mad I couldn't remember it. But imagine Larry Brown telling you, like, this is where you need to go. Like, this dude coached Iverson.
Facts.
So he telling you, this is where you need to go. So I'm like, Trae, Larry Brown. Kentucky, dog. Go to Kentucky. So that's why I be saying to myself, I'm like dudes like Shea Gills, which I was handed, like old Trae, like those dudes old Trae because Trae didn't commit to Kentucky. So
And now they gotta change.
They gotta, so now they gotta go find somebody. They went and found
SGA.
Yeah. So if he would have committed to Kentucky, SGA would have stayed. I think he was at Florida or something, and he wasn't a high recruit. I don't know how they missed on him because he cold.
He's nice.
Yeah, I don't know how they missed him. He was at Florida, but since Trae go to Kentucky, like Cal's like, we gotta find somebody, like, and then he came there, and you know we had the big press conference and at Norman North, man. And it was so crazy, man. It was like so many people in that room, and we came in through the back door, and I told my son, I'm like, you make the decision. You know, you always hug your mom first. You know, your little brothers, your sisters.
So you ain't know yet?
No, we did it the night before.
Okay.
We did it the night before because it was so emotional because you got to call every coach. So he called Bill Self and told Bill Self, and Bill Self like, are you sure? Like he called, you know, Calipari. And Calipari's like, it's like, man, like, are you sure? You know what I'm saying? Like, and we called Underwood with Oklahoma State. Because Underwood was there before Boynton got the head job.
Right.
And then we called Texas Tech. And Trae was like, I mean, that's one thing I commend my son about because he's so confident. He's like, Dad, I'm going to go to OU and do the same thing at OU that I would have done
Anywhere else.
And I'm like,
Gave you a heart attack.
yeah, because we had already went through this, and I hate to rewind, but we went through this in high school because we were going to go to Oak Hill because Norman North just wasn't doing it for him, and we almost went to Oak Hill Academy in Virginia, and Trae's like, no, I'm just going to stay at Norman North, and he stayed at Norman North, averaged 40. Like, yeah, and that was like his junior and senior year. I'm talking about every game was standing room only, like people like.
Witnessed a couple.
Like, so I'm just sitting there like, man, I hope don't hurt my son, like, cause you know you always gonna have haters, like people hating you.
And he played with that cockiness,
But
that swag.
I think that helped him though. I think that helped his decision to go to Oklahoma, cause he saw, not to say Norman North was not talented or sorry, but
They had a good team.
yeah, they had a good team, but he didn't have nobody like him. He didn't have nobody like him on the team. He wasn't no other 5 stars. And that's what Trae told me, and that's when I knew he was becoming a man, because he's like, Dad, if I go to Kentucky, it's going to be 4 or 5 other dudes like me wanting the ball, because we all trying to get to the league.
Right.
If I go to Kansas, it's going to be 2 or 3 other dudes like me wanting the ball, because
They're trying to get to the league.
they're trying to get to the league. The same thing with Duke. But he said, not that the dudes at OU not trying to get to the league, but they kind of know if we get Trae on the squad and we win, I may get a shot in the league, but I'm definitely going overseas.
Right.
So Trae knew it was going to be the same type of situation at Norman North, at OU.
He made that team look good, so.
Yeah, I mean, they all look good together, man. I think they helped each other,
They definitely helped each other.
but when he came out dropping when he had 48 against Oklahoma State, and he was dropping 37. No, he had 43 and 14 against TCU. I mean,
crazy.
What nobody do. And then they started showing other games on ESPN. And when Trae was playing, they were showing his stats. I'm like, this is
unreal.
This is unreal, yeah. And we weren't even expecting that. Like, we was thinking like, cause we had talked to Kruger. You know, hopefully Trae stay at OU for 3 years, and then blow up, get bigger. Cause y'all saw how small he was. Right. I mean, he been playing with y'all since in high school. You know, playing with grown men.
Right. So he was I played with him first when he was a junior. So I know he's playing with guys before then.
He was playing with him like way before that.
Yeah, that's when I first played with him.
8th grade, 9th grade.
Is that like 5 years ago though?
Yeah, exactly.
Junior year? Yeah, that's when I came on the scene.
So so we weren't really thinking NBA like one and done like that. And so whenever I started getting calls from agents, and agents started telling me, cause it started out, man, your son got a chance to get drafted like 2nd round, 1st round, and then this was before the Big 12 started. So they're like, man,
you're putting up crazy numbers.
Yeah, I'm like, man, Trae, like you said, you may get drafted 1st round or 2nd round. He's like, you know, he was excited, but you know,
that ain't what he wanted.
Yeah, but then because people were still doubting, they were like, can he do this during the Big 12? But once he started doing it during the Big 12, I'll never get that TCU game. And this agent came to me. He's like, this is what a GM sent me. And he showed me his phone. And he said, this kid gonna go top 5. So I'm like,
you were like, bro, get this phone out my face.
Right, yeah.
This is not happening right now.
My whole mindset just changed. I'm just like, man, I just don't want my son to get hurt. Like, if he can make it through this season and not get hurt, like to go, because it's hard to understand unless you in it, but to go to be top 5 compared to late 1st, early 2nd, late 2nd, or like me, undrafted, like that's a life changer, man. So it was nuts, man.
Wow, man.
But anyway, I started rambling, man.
No,
that's what this is.
I'm on the edge of my seat. If I get any closer,
I'm tuned in.
If I get any closer, we less than 6 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Nah, bro. So then let me ask you. A lot of parents want to replicate what you did. Obviously, you said sometimes you kept it 100, that you felt like you knew you were overbearing, but you had that vision. Obviously, you went undrafted, but you got to be there.
Yeah.
You got to reach a level that even myself, I thought I was a decent basketball player. I didn't get to do that. I played with NBA players. I didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
So you had the vision. So back to my question, a lot of parents want to replicate what you did. Is it can it be replicated?
Man, I would say, I would say yes and no, because with everything that happened, you know, there were blessings. There's also, you got to be lucky. Like, I mean, my son's been, man, he's been blessed. He's been lucky, man. Like, even the position he's in now, like he's always been that dude. Like, going back to Whittier, it's like, and when I say that, I don't mean to say his teammates are bad or whatever, but he's always been able to make mistakes.
Right. That's important.
Yeah, and when he was at Whittier, like you talk about Barnard, like Trae averaged a lot of points, but he would shoot some bad shots.
Right.
But Barnard was like, man, that's my best player, man. Let him do it.
Right.
They babies.
That's how me and my man get along a lot, because we're like, if they're best players, you got to give them a leash. You just got to.
Man, so the reason I say that is because he went to Norman North, and Norman North, man, like, he averaged 40, and like some games, he was just cross half court. Pull, and the coach wouldn't say nothing, because he would come the next time and hit 2 in a row, 3 in a row. So he had a leash. He didn't have a coach that'd be like, I had a coach, or y'all might have had coaches like, get on the bench. Go get in for him. He never had that. And when he got to OU, and that's another reason he went to OU, because we saw Calipari at the draft, and I love Calipari. I love Coach K, and so they even admitted, like, man, I don't know if we would have let Trae
do all that.
shoot from 35 feet and make a no-look pass and go out of bounds, but then he, you know, nutmegging somebody. And, you know what I mean? Like,
playing his game and having fun.
Yeah, playing his game. But Coach Kruger, man, Coach Kruger let him do that. And so now, he in the league, he with the Hawks, it's the same situation. Like, his first 20 games, he shot 18% from 3.
Right, because he was getting acclimated.
Yeah, but they didn't give up on him, because they drafted him top 5. You know, they drafted Luka and him, and then they traded him. So they're like, we want this kid to succeed, so that they didn't give up on him. So now Trae's like, man, these people believe in me. I need to work my ass off and do what I need to do. So now that's why he's in that position. So I answer that question.
And before you answer that, I want to give a shout out to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because they let him rock. Shout out Coach Kruger, because they really gave him an opportunity to really better himself and go in the lottery. Because if Calipari was like, I don't know if he'd have been able to shoot from 35, you know what I'm saying? And
they might have let him, but then there would have been another parent, because there are other parents like me. But there's a kid named Kevin Knox. Like Kevin Knox, like his dad would have been like, why are you letting this kid do that?
And Kevin Knox is 6'9".
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's what you got to deal with when you go to a blue blood. You ain't the only All-American there. You know what I'm saying?
So that AAU squad.
That's it. So, but that's one thing I can say about Coach Kruger, because Coach is gonna lie. Everything he told my son since the 8th grade, like
it was true.
It was true.
Shout out Coach Kruger. Oh man, I'm happy to hear that, because it's a business. We all know it's a business, and they lie. Coaches lie, but to be able to keep your word for 5 years, and then you get the opportunity and you capitalize, and they have some really high success. So you know what I'm saying? That's phenomenal to me. That's phenomenal. So back to the question: can it be replicated?
Can it be replicated? I would say yeah. I would say if you just make the right moves, man. But at the same time, it's got to be, it can't always be about the parent. Like the kid, like I've never had to ask Trae to go to the gym, man. Like he would get on my nerves, like he wanted to go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like Sundays, like once he started driving, like he would just drive himself to the gym, or he wanted to go hoop with y'all, at the church. Like I never had to ask him that, man. And I think all the training that these kids do these days isn't the most beneficial. I think just hooping, man. You gotta hoop. And that's why I used to tell Trae, like, just go hoop, man.
Even when he came back from that first year playing, he came back, opened up the wild, like, hey, Twan, I'm gonna open up a session. Bro, I'm coming,
So, and like so many kids.
And the training is important, but I didn't start training until I got to college. I was just all hoop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you gotta hoop. And I think, I know this because I have a younger son now who's 10, and I see the differences, in a lot of kids. Like, I never had to tell him to watch the game. Like, when I'm on the couch and I'm drinking a beer, watching the game, like, he right there.
Same thing. That's what I'm going to say. You're going to get a chance to do it all over again, because he got a younger brother that, Timmy, right?
Yeah, Timmy. Yeah. So I just think you gotta be passionate, and I think, man, it's just a fine line between making it and not making it, and sometimes I think he put too much pressure on himself, because I remember leaving a Thunder game whenever we talked to Steph. It was whenever, the Thunder had that lead and they lost that 3-1 lead.
Yes, sir.
And I remember me and Trae walking to the car, and he's like, Dad, I gotta make it. He's like, I got it. I'm like, what you mean? He's like, man. He's like, I just got it. If I don't make it to the league, like, I gotta make it. I'm like, you ain't gotta make it. Like, Dad, I gotta make it. So
the belief level was just
but that's why he is what he is, to be so small and be doing what he's doing, because
it's phenomenal. I'll be one to tell you that I was like, man, he did real good in high school. I don't know if he's gonna do that in college.
I know.
And then he got to college, like, yo, I'm calling Twan, we watching the game. Was it the Maui Invitational? The first tournament of the season.
They were in where did they go? Oh no. That was in
the Bahamas, wasn't it?
That's in Bahamas.
Man, whatever tournament that was, me and Twan, we going back like, bro,
Yeah.
like he's going dummy. So then I'm like, yo, he did that in college. It might take him some time. At this point, you can't discredit somebody when they showed you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He reads all. I wish he didn't, but he reads all that. And I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with y'all again. But man, he knows who's hating on him, man.
Yeah. And
like he'll look you in the eye and say, "What's up, bro? Good to see you." Yada yada yada. But he knows who's tweeted something about it, or who said something. Like,
And it wasn't even hate. It was just like, man, I don't know how long it's gonna take them
I know what you're saying,
to get to that in the NBA. And it was 30 games.
It's ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? Like, after 30 games, when he went through that shooting slump, he was another dude. It was like he just had another year of college in them 30 games, and now he was a sophomore in the same season. Like, it was.
He's supposed to be a senior this year. You know, he was talking to his boy Brady Manick, be a senior at OU. Like, it's just so weird. He's supposed to be a senior at OU this year, and he's already started in the All-Star game. And he was telling me, he's like, Dad, I'm in the same locker room with Giannis and LeBron, and I'm like, because he was a starter.
Right.
Like, that's just so weird. Like, it's so weird. Like,
next level.
Yeah, in your second year. So he's sitting there and they calling him Youngin, and they call him, what's up, Youngin, what's up? You know, congratulations. And like him and Luka are the two youngest dudes, and they see Russ, like Tracy Russ walk by, and I remember him eating popcorn at the Thunder game, like watching Russ, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, KD used to invite him to the crib when KD was here, and he was, you know, KD's a Nike guy.
Right.
KD would text him and say, man, come grab some shoes. He would go, and now he's, you know, KD posting them up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
pictures with Bron.
It don't make sense, man. Like, to me, sometimes it don't make sense. But to answer your question, I think it can be replicated, but you just got to put them in the right position.
You got to put them in the right position.
You got to put them in the right position, and
it's key. And it's got to be in them. Because once it's in them, then you can push them because you know how much he can be pushed. Yeah. Because it's already in them.
Right.
But if it's not in them, then all the pushing is gonna be, you're gonna get pushback basically. And you sound like you never got no pushback because he wanted it.
And it just got to the point where, you know, he got tired of taking pictures, man. Like, for me as a dad, I'm like, hey, there goes CP, no, I'm good now. Like,
now I want to go at him.
That's tight.
So
that's tight.
And that's fire, man. So let's switch gears for a minute. TY Elite.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I was at the tryout for when you had the girls, when you was first starting the TY Elite girls with Coach Neal and Coach Frankie Parks, you know what I'm saying? And so I was so honored to be a part of that because I knew it was something great in the making. Now obviously, Team Griffin, my man Kellen McCoy, you know, they running things out here in Oklahoma right now. But what was your vision and Trae's vision? Obviously, he's supposed to come on the show at some point, so I'll get his take on it. But what was your vision for TY Elite?
Well, that's a good question. You know, for me, you know, really a lot of this at this point in time is my doing. You know, because just trying to give back through my son, and like Trae sees it, and he's like, oh, Dad, that's cool. Like, make sure they get some shoes, make sure they get this and that. But he doesn't really, he's not at that point yet because he's so focused on the NBA.
And he gotta be.
He doesn't really understand that part of it yet. So I'm just kind of setting everything in stone to whenever he gets to that point where he's like, okay, what my AAU teams look like, what I need to do.
Right.
You know, Dad already set it up, so now let me take it to the next level.
Right.
But you know, one of the things was, you know, Trae's with Adidas, so I'll never say anything bad about the EYBL and Nike.
For sure.
Because that's, I mean, without them,
right.
Took care.
Ain't none of this.
That changed our life. You know what I'm saying? So Team Griffin is like the main AAU team, and I don't even see us competing with them, like, because it's just Nike youth basketball, man. It's just different. It's nothing like it. So, you know, Team Griffin's doing their thing, and for us, since Trae's with Adidas, we have funds, we have community funds that Adidas gives us to do something like this. So we had the choice to either do it in Atlanta or do it in Oklahoma. And since I spend 20% in Atlanta and 80% here, I'm like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and do it in Oklahoma. So let's just try to build these teams and, you know, give these kids an option to
chase their dreams.
Yeah, to chase their dreams. Because honestly, man, and this may not be exactly right, but from my experience, if you're not on a shoe sponsor team, man, it's hard.
Nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's just hard. If you're not on a Team Griffin, because when you walk in that gym, man, and they got the rope right there, and they all behind that rope is every coach in the country, because they know all the best kids in the country are gonna play in this Nike league, or they're gonna play in this Adidas league, this Under Armour league. So that's what it's about. But there's some kids in Oklahoma that don't get that opportunity because Team Griffin can only take so many. You know what I'm saying?
And now Buddy Buckets is on the scene.
Yeah, but they're not EYBL, but they may be one day. But like right now, they're not. They're just a Nike team.
For sure.
But Trae's Adidas team, they're the same level as EYBL. But the best players are usually going to be on that Nike side. You know, unless you're on the West Coast, because they're real strong, like the Compton Magic. I've heard of teams like that.
Yeah,
but
wasn't Colin Sexton was on the Adidas team, or
he was until his last year. Then he went to
Nike team.
CP3, I think.
Yeah. Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan brand.
Yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, that's where TYE is going. It's just building that brand. And actually, that's what I do. So my son has provided opportunities for us to where, I'm more of a business guy where.
Really good at it too.
Yeah, I just take care of the business side.
Right.
So one thing I'm working on is.
He's fortunate to have you.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Because I was gonna say, even though he done made it to the league, you still send up more foundations for him with Trae Lee and this. So I mean, that's dope. That's real dope.
And and hopefully my daughters who are in college, they can take over
For sure.
all that stuff. So,
For sure.
But so that's what I'm doing right now. So what I'm doing right now is trying to make sure all of Norman Public Schools is going to be in Adidas here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like it don't matter if you go to
Word.
Whittier. If you go to Whittier, you're gonna be wearing blue. If you go to Longfellow, you're wearing green.
Right.
Even Norman High.
That's
Norman
tight.
High.
Orange.
Yeah.
That's tight. Got a whole orange soda.
Yeah.
That's fire, man. So before I move on, man, I gotta ask you. I heard a story about Timmy, and I want to confirm with you that you don't let him shoot nothing outside of 5 feet right now.
No, man.
Is that true?
Well, somewhat, because he was doing that for a long time. He was getting bad habits. Because he was not strong enough, so he just
Trying to chuck it.
Yeah, chunking it, man. Then,
Every time I saw him at Norman North, he was
that's what I'm saying.
heaving it.
I had to have him start doing that. So
You see Big Brother do it.
yeah, but Timothy, man, that's when you ask can it get replicated, I don't really know the answer to that. I think it can, but when I look at Timothy, I don't know because I'm learning how it's all up here. Because Timothy's bigger than Trae was at 10. He's faster and he's more mature, but he's seen too much
Already.
Like Timothy would be like, we'll be in Atlanta, and Trae has something with TNT, and Timothy will walk by Shaq. What's up, Shaq? He'll see Barkley. He'll see like Timothy. He's a ball boy in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So he's seeing LeBron. So for him, it's like, man, my brother already
But
made
it's
it.
the same thing you did with Trae.
Yeah, but he's
Trae just taking his brother along with him.
Yeah, exactly. But for him, it's like, man, my brother made it. I'm good.
I don't
I'm
really gotta
already
make
there,
it.
right?
Yeah,
That's just he's still young though.
Yeah, but he's so much. Man, he's so talented. It's crazy. It's crazy. But he don't even know. Like I won't be able to send him to North Tulsa.
Yeah.
Like
because he already know all that.
Yeah. Well, no. He wouldn't be able to handle that.
Right.
Like, he would, like,
you know your kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it come down to.
Yeah. Trae was able to handle that, but so we'll see. We'll see. Like hopefully, maybe Timothy will be like a Austin Rivers type kid
Right.
or a Steph Curry type kid.
Okay.
But his mentality is totally different. Because he's not in awe. He's not in awe.
He really enjoying childhood.
Yeah. So that's.
So he's not gonna get to the point where he want to take pictures with dudes because he's never been there, done that.
Yeah. I mean, think about him in the All-Star game.
Yeah, like bro, I ain't been to the All-Star game.
I got picked. I don't know if y'all seen it. We at the Laker game, sitting on the front row. Rest in peace, Kobe walked by. Me and Kobe talking, got me up. Trae doing well, and I'm like, man, Kobe is killing me. All this losing, and Kobe's like, it's good for Trae because now he's learning what it's like to lose. Like Trae's like, so he gonna know what it feel like to lose like this. He's not gonna
Because
feel it.
he ain't been losing his
Yeah.
own career.
Yeah, and then Kobe look at Timothy. What's up, little man? So Timothy like take a picture of Kobe. Then he walked down there, Kevin Hart down there. So Timothy and Kevin Hart.
Posted.
Yeah, so it's like his.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, that's litty, bro.
So.
Wow.
But hopefully, you know, he don't even want to be in Norman.
Yeah.
Like Trae loves Norman, but Timmy's like that.
Trae keep coming back. We can tell he loves it.
Oh yeah, he's building the gym right now. So.
Fire. Where gym?
Yeah, so well, he's actually building a house with a gym behind it. But our family donated $4 million to this facility.
Yes, sir.
Here in Norman, so they're building a 8-court facility here in Norman.
Did that pass? Was that supposed to?
Yeah. So what it was is they already had 23 million that had passed, but they wanted to vote and get an extra 30. So the extra 30 didn't pass.
Okay.
So that's what didn't pass.
Yeah. So they still got the 23 million. So it's gonna be nice, but it's not gonna be.
With the Olympic pool.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
Okay.
And then plus the money we're putting in it, and then the money Adidas is putting in it, body armor.
So that's still gonna look great.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing every day. I'm on the phone with the sponsors, like.
That's why every time I call you, man, you sound like you're
in
5 different places. But
Yeah.
we get it. You know what I'm saying? We
I
get
try
it.
not to be like that.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you setting your kids up.
CEO.
You setting your kids up. So I'm with it, man. Last thing, any advice for the parents out there that wanna at least get their kids to college? Let's say that, because the NBA is not obviously everybody ain't gonna make it to the NBA.
Right. No, I think. I think the main. I keep saying I think, but I know the main part of it is don't be like
Tunnel vision.
yeah, tunnel vision. You got to understand that it's got to be like this. You know what I mean? And that's what I had to learn. So if we go back to the beginning of this meeting, this is me when I was a kid. Like I thought this is me, West Texas. When I got to Texas Tech, I'm like, oh wow. But this has been Trae since he was a kid. Like
This way you can see different opportunities.
yeah. So I think, man, there's so many different ways to go to college, and I say playing for a shoe sponsor team is the best way, which it probably is the best way, but there's so many other ways.
Right.
And I ask everybody just to lean on people that have done it before. I love answering questions. I love when a parent comes up to me and they're like, well, I got a 7th grade kid, he's this and that, and I'm like, okay, well, send him to Dallas. So they either gonna come back to Norman and say, well, yeah, he ain't ready, or they gonna be like, okay, yeah, he
He got his own.
yeah, he good in Dallas. I'm like, okay, well, let's send him to Kansas City. Let me call my man. I'll get him in this camp. And then after that, there's gonna be enough people that gonna pull you to the side and say, yeah, let me holler at you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Just gotta get the ball rolling.
yeah, just get the ball rolling. Like don't be afraid to ask questions. But at the end of the day, like the kid they have to want it. There's so many parents, like
Trying to live vicariously through their
yeah,
kid.
and not even living vicariously through their kid, but they want more for their kid, not understanding that their kid may not want the same thing, So it's just, and that's what I'm learning because I don't know Timothy. Like
Right.
Timothy's he's on TikTok. He's got 30,000, 40,000 people on TikTok. Like he's
No way.
yeah.
TikTok
So I
is
can't so I can't force him to be a hooper unless he's like, Dad, let's go to the gym. Dad, let's do this.
Right.
And sometimes he will do that, but other times he want to come home and
Kick it.
Famous different though.
yeah, exactly.
Acting or something.
Yeah. So that's the advice I would give parents, man. Just don't be tunnel vision. Ask questions and just realize, man. Just realize that.
Learn your kid. Is
Yeah,
what it
learn your
sounds
kid.
like.
Yeah, learn your
Learn your
kid
kid.
because what you feel, may not be the same thing.
For sure. For
Right.
sure.
So.
Well, man, I'm soaking it all in, and I can't wait to go rewatch that.
Yeah.
And that's what the show's about, is to impart that knowledge on people. So, like, a lot of people don't have access to Trae Young to
Right.
holler at them. So now they just got the
Yeah.
chance to holler at you
Right.
and get to pick your brain through us. So we're gonna get you to sign that ball, because that's our new
That's
our new
sure,
tradition
yes,
there.
sir.
I gotta get y'all some Adidas stuff in here.
Yeah, man, we
Yeah.
gonna talk about it. We gonna
Yeah.
talk about it. And then we gonna post it up in here, so that way, you know what I'm saying, anytime people out here,
Okay.
they get to watch the show, Trae Young's represented.
So anywhere? Man,
Anywhere.
I don't worry about my
Pick and
signature.
choose.
Y'all need to get Trae's signature. Y'all
Hey,
Man,
we
we-
waiting
well,
on.
He gonna come on the show next.
Tell him where you want him to sign next.
Yeah, all right, man. I put my number 3 at Texas Tech, man.
Yes, sir.
You see Broyles put Boomer on there.
Oh, did he?
Look on the other side.
Yeah, put what you want on there.
That's cool.
And that's Mason right there.
That's Mason. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mason had a game.
Man, well, show that. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us as we drop gems that we picked up in these gyms. Salute.
Yeah. Yeah. Sound good, don't it? Check. Look. Okay. Yeah. Look. Life tried to drown me. This hoop is like my life jacket. This ice in my veins is something Titanic. Lockdown defense kept me out the center for detention. Divine intervention passes over to my center. Alleyways are the alley-oops. Some got no looks and passed away when somebody shoot. Back in court duo, but nobody hoops. The wrists follow through and the cuffs got a loop. Pick a book up, picked up and get booked. It's just you and I, out running suicides. Me, I was out running suicide. Boy, I'm going in, dropping gems that I picked up in these gyms. I can't slack, I've been down and back. I'm just trying to share a few tales from this thing called life. Count my assists, man, I swear that basketball really saved my life. Yeah, yeah. I swear it saved my life. Let's go.